literacy is similar, but also very different, because I just find that there's, and it is one of the things I do like about Seesaw, is how you can adapt it to the different styles or the different formats that you might have for different lessons, for different strategies that you're working on. Like for literacy, this one is something that you'll notice is it has a date range to where it's not something I'm going to have them turn in at the end. And in fact, I've got to send it back to half of them because they will frequently, try to submit it when we're still working on it. And like I said, this is one of those things where I grew to this. It's where I've learned to grow to like something about Seesaw. And in this case, we were trying to plan for writing an essay, which is a miraculous task for fifth graders. So, we start with just like kind of looking ahead. Again, when we're talking about mixing in some apps with it, this is us going to Padlet, and this is just like a link that takes us there, just for some brainstorming before we got started. I have found, if I've got like a small bit of text here, rather than linking out of Seesaw, I do like to have it there, because sometimes I'm really amazed at how many tabs we're asking even like fifth graders to keep open at once and to navigate back and forth to try to do some of this work. So every time I can try to keep the text, on the Seesaw page rather than linking out to something else, I certainly try to do that. Again, this is something that we're all kind of working on together. I'm not going to go over the details of this, but then now comes the part where we're planning together, and we'll have a page to where people can type straight into here. One thing that I always do try to do with something like this is I'll start the text box for them, just so that way they've got a text box that is already sized up to what I think they should be writing at, to give them an idea that I don't want just like 3 or 4 words here, but to type something more. Here is a case though, when we have more writing to do, when there is more to get done, like there's a larger chunk of text, where instead I'll link out to something from my Google Drive to where they can access it through there. This way they are going to have another tab going on. For some of my kids struggling with readers, then I'll also have a link to a YouTube video, but it's like I warned them, it's kind of long. Sometimes if we're just looking for some excerpts or looking for some evidence, that's not so helpful. And then this ended up being something that, like I said, might be one of those elements that I would replicate once I'm in the classroom again, if I ever live to see that day. And that is like, it's just a graphic organizer. It's really basically nothing more than what you would have on paper, but to color code it, number one, hopefully it will help some of our students to see what's the similarities in terms of, noticing that we've got a pattern here and that we need to follow that pattern. I guess I'd still like to work on the sizing of what they're typing in here. But part of the reason why I would use this again in the future is that, number one, I can't tell you how many times I've had students lose their graphic organizers. This always keeps it there. Another reason is, like I remember in the middle of this lesson, because this went on for multiple days, to where we planned out one paragraph, and then we came back and then we did the second paragraph. I had like 3 different chunks of text that they needed to access for it. And the same sort of, repeat the same thing for the next paragraph. But I remember I had a student who showed up at the tail end of this literacy block. And he told me that he had overslept, which was strange since he was in my morning class, but then somehow missed my afternoon class, little afternoon nap that went too long. But I didn't want him to not be able to write the essay and not to have the information that we worked on together. So what I just did was did a screenshot, got into his Seesaw, and inserted that screenshot into his own Seesaw. So he had the notes, which is another sort of advantage of using Seesaw in that fashion for something like a graphic organizer or for organizing the writing. And let's see, we keep on rolling through our planning. And then finally, and like I said, this is 3 days worth of work. particularly when our blocks are much smaller now for our synchronous learning, it kind of leads our way up to this final one where this is where I'm linking out and going to Google Classroom, because when we're writing a 4-paragraph essay, Seesaw is not going to be the tool to do it in. And not only that, but there are times, particularly with the writing, when I do like to link out to Google Classroom, because like Nearpod, it gives me that advantage of being able to watch them work while they're working and not waiting for them to hit draft. Because I've got some kids that need like a little shove or like a really large shove. I can tell them, hey, it's been 5 minutes. I'm watching your writing, and so far you've got 3 words down. And I think I spotted you the topic sentence, so you should be further along than that. Or I could tell someone else, you started your paragraph, but you haven't started with a topic sentence. I can watch them while they're writing and correct those mistakes while they're going on, which, like I said, is when I initially started on Seesaw, that was one of the most significant drawbacks I saw on it. But as I've also said, I now appreciate how I can use Seesaw to help direct people to where they need to go. And the more we've worked with it, the more comfortable I think myself and the rest of the class and my parents have come and learning on how to navigate and how to use it, and how it's like our blueprint. It's our clearinghouse. It's where we know where we're going to get to.